Hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to the Workbench. This is Dane here as always, and in this product review we're going to be reviewing a brand new piece of rolling stock recently announced from Walthers, a very important prototype if you model the Sulfur hauling service, their new 14,000 gallon Trinity built molten sulfur tank cars. So I just got my first couple cars of these, and I actually pre-ordered several of them, and I have been getting them from a hobby shop, and like I said, this is the first batch. A few more will be coming, but like I said, we're going to basically go through and we'll review this together. So if I see anything wrong with it, obviously we'll both be seeing this together. I have not opened this out of the box yet, so it'll be exciting for all you guys and me included. We'll be doing this together, so like I said, if I see anything wrong, obviously I'll point it out right away and all that. So without further ado, we'll have a little simple, honest review of this product, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so as you can see, we have the car, factory mint, fresh in the box. And the particular car I got here is TGOX 1822, one of the later Trinity built molten sulfur cars. I believe these were originally TILX cars and they later got repainted and patched for TGOX, I think, if I remember. Anyways, my review on the box itself, I think the packaging looks really nice. Really a far step up from the original, like say Walthers Gold Line, Walthers Platinum Series packaging. I think this looks a lot nicer. It looks pretty sturdy too, so we'll go ahead and open this up here. Now, I'm fairly certain these open up from the ends here, and I think there's only really one designated end that I can see. So we'll go ahead and slide this out of the box here and set this aside. Now, the contents inside the box, before we get into the car, we have the obviously the exploded parts diagram, and this covers all of the it shows the entire model, how things go together and all that. Basically, you have the parts list, a nice little description of the car's service states and all that, how they were built, kind of the story behind them, which is always fun to read these, I think, so that's nice. So there's the exploded parts diagram, like I said, and you also get a warranty card. I actually just dropped it, I'm sorry. Here you have it right here. This is the warranty information in the event that something is broken or something like that, you need to get replaced. Always hold on to that, so there's that. Now, the packaging itself, I can see it's definitely, like I said, a lot bigger than, say, the original Walthers packaging, where it was just a simple, kind of a thinner box like that. It looks a lot more sturdier too, and it's a lot more durable plastic as well. So if we take this cover off, as you can see, we have the cart itself right here, and then we have these pieces of plastic to kind of help protect it from being exposed to the direct contents of the plastic. That way they're not scuffing up the paint or anything like that. It has that plastic protection, which is nice. And so we'll go ahead and slide this out of the package here and put it on the workbench here. I'll go ahead and move the packaging out of the way. Alright, so another nice little feature about the packaging on this model is that it actually has these guards on the trucks to protect them so that the car's not swiveling around in the box, which I think is pretty cool. These basically like truck holders, as you can see. And I'm going to go ahead and save these just so if I have to repackage this car later, once it's weathered and all, I can. So I'm going to go ahead and save these. Basically, my first thoughts on this particular model, I'm actually very surprised because I was thinking it would be a little heavier, but what I quickly learned is that this car is actually considerably lightweight, and actually all of them are considerably lightweight. I was kind of thinking this because of having the early experience with the similar Athearn Trinity built, or excuse me, not Athearn, but the Atlas Trinity built tank cars that were used for corn syrup service. The construction of them was pretty similar, but the capacity size was obviously different. These were 14,000 gallon cars, and the Atlas cars model a 17,000 gallon car for corn syrup service. So there's definitely a little bit of weight difference in the cars. That's why I had that kind of feeling that this was going to be a heavy car, because I was thinking of the Atlas cars in mind. So overall, like, besides the weight, I'm sure it's relatively accurate. I don't really have any real way of testing the weight on this to see if it's accurate to NMRA specifications, but if you guys are able to measure it yourself, you guys can check that if you like. Overall, the paint finish on this car, I can say, looks really good. Right out of the box, an exceptional amount of detail. Definitely a good step up from the original Walthers series compared to, say, the early Walthers 16,000 gallon cars, which was practically the only modern tank car they had on the market, where those were pretty stock. It was just basically a plastic model with no underbody detailing, no grab irons, nothing. It was just stock plastic parts and everything. But these are definitely a step up, and I really think Walthers did a good job on them so far, but we'll get into this a little deeper. As you can see, as we look at the front end, you can see we have separately applied grab irons, and we also have very, very fine etched metal walkway parts on there. And something to note on these, it's very, very fine. It's actually some of the finest photo etching I've seen in quite a while, even finer than the Athearn photo etching. So that's quite a step up and very, very nice. You can see the handrails are nicely executed, as you can see. Even the bolt detail and all that is done pretty well, actually. You can see on the ends there, very thin profiling on that, just like the real thing. You can see the hazmat placards are nicely modeled there, as you can see. And then you can see we got the basically the railings on the side, and the ladder seems to be very well modeled, and that's on obviously both sides. You can see that's a very, very fine piece of detail. It's a little fragile, as I can tell, though, very fragile plastic, but more than likely when people pick up these cars, they'll usually be picking them up from the side directly like that. So my only recommendations here, if you have a tank car like this, never pick it up from the handrails and never pick it up from the ladders, unless you're like, if you got to pick it up from the ladder, pick it up at the very, very top of the ladder, not at the very, very bottom, because what's going to happen is you're going to break these, and you got to be really careful about that. So like I said, very fine detail there. And as we look at the underbody itself, we have a multitude of brake piping, which I believe is brass. I don't think this is plastic piping. You can see that all that is well executed. You can see we have all the details, all the, like I said, basically the piping, all the brake rigging is done, which looks really, really nice, as you can see in there. It's under the truck as well. It looks really, really nice. We have on the trucks themselves, the original Walthers trucks, they've had these, the style of, basically their style of the Bethlehem 100-ton truck there, as you can see. And then if we look at the metal wheels themselves, they're really, really nice, because they're both a metal axle and basically metal wheel, which I think is really nice compared to, say, having a metal wheel and a plastic axle, which I don't particularly like. These are all metal, which is pretty nice. So that looks really, really cool. The only thing I can say about the truck is that the truck detail hasn't really changed much on these. The Walthers trucks kind of lack a little bit of like detail. If you were to compare this to, say, like an Athearn truck, where the detail is a little more deeper and it has a more depth to it, basically. These are pretty flat, but overall you can weather these up and they'll look just fine. They'll blend right into your fleet, and it's not like you're really going to be staring at the trucks anyway. So I'll let this little bit, this little guy, or this, whatever you want to call it, this little imperfection slide. It's no big deal. So as we get to the other end, you can see we pretty much have the same as the other end. This is obviously the end with the brake wheel, the brake rigging and all that. You can see we have the air tanks and all that modeled, the nice bit of piping on the ends, as you can see. Again, we have the photo etched walkway, and all the grab irons are applied. Now, getting to the couplers, the one thing I can say I'm a little disappointed about is that Walthers did not put scale size couplers on this, and this is probably because the company that makes the scale size couplers is McHenry, which is now owned by Athearn, so they'd have to be buying couplers from Athearn, which I don't think they'd really want to do. So they put their own, basically their own brand of, I believe, it's like a KD. This I don't think it's an actual KD coupler. I think it's a second-hand brand, but it's very similar. That's the only thing I can say I'm a little disappointed about, is the coupler. There should be a double shelf coupler. Fortunately, when I got this car, I actually, around the same time, purchased a pack of the McHenry shelf couplers, so I'll probably be changing this one around before I weather it. So, getting to the painting and the printing on this model, you can see the paint work on it is very, very well done. You can see we have a nice flat finish on the car. Slight gloss, but it's basically referred to as a satin finish, just like the real things. It's kind of a flat satin finish, which looks pretty good. Matter of fact, as we get to the top there, you can see the paint lines and the separation between the gray anti-skid panel and the black painted car body. Very crisp, clean lines, as you can see that. Very well done. So I think that looks pretty good. Like I said, the paint finish on this car is very, very nice. And looking at the printing itself too, you can see the printing is very, very clean, crisp, and eligible. It's very highly eligible, as I said. You can actually read all the small labels there, but you'd probably need a magnifying glass. I can try to zoom in on them real quick, but I guarantee you that my camera will blur before you can actually even see them. That's probably about as close as I'll get, but I'll see that that's very cleanly printed, even for that small lettering. Very, very nicely done. You can see all the modern safety decals and all that, like the hazmat contact number, the hazmat number and all that is very well done. All the stenciling is very, very clean, and all that is eligible, as you can see. Very, very happy with that. And this is one of the first ones that I've got, but I'm gonna guess or assume that probably all of these are about the same. And overall, I think Walthers did a very, very nice job on the printing and painting of this model. So, like I said, very, very nice so far. And here we have the other side, as you can see. There's this side, pretty much the same, as you can see. Now, one other nice little thing that we have here is the actual ratchet detail right here. Something that I have not seen previously modeled on modern tank cars is this guy here. That's very nicely detailed. Well done by Walthers. Very nice job, guys. One little thing I can say is kind of caught my eye here. If you see this little piece of strand kind of on the side of the tank here, it looks like there's like a little bit of glue residue, and that's probably removable. I think it looks like some sort of like strand of glue, as you can see. Some sort of basically dried strand of glue that's now stuck on there. Kind of interesting. That'll come off easily, though. I'm not sure. That's probably just some accidental spillage on the car when it was in the factory, but no big deal there. It's just an easy cleanup. So, but yeah, I think it looks pretty good, and we'll go ahead and put this on the track, see how it rolls. Alrighty, so as we put the car on the tracks here, we'll go ahead and test and see if everything's lined up nicely and engaged, which it looks like it is. The car fits pretty tightly on the rails. It's not sliding around too much, so that's good. And as you can see, it actually rolls very, very nicely. It's very low friction on the trucks, which is nice, so that the wheels roll pretty freely, as you can see. There's literally no hesitation whatsoever, and that's what I really, really like about cars like this. This is the nice thing about the new Walthers cars. What I'm actually seeing right here, too, is that I was kind of afraid that these were going to be kind of like the Genesis cars, because I'm so used to the Genesis from the Athearn line. What you see with the Athearn Genesis cars, being that they have the rotating bearing caps, you get a lot of hesitation in the wheels because they kind of, like I said, they're kind of, I'd say, pretty tight in those trucks, and they kind of have a lot of hesitation to them, so they don't roll very freely. But that's one of the downsides. I like the Genesis line and all, but those kind of cars really don't roll too freely. That's why I like the Walthers cars. They seem to roll pretty nicely, so that's pretty nice. And just for kicks and giggles, we'll go ahead and show you guys one of the older Walthers cars, and you can actually compare this. These are the stock. This is actually the Gold Line series, the better version of the stock RTR 16,000 gallon funnel flow car, the UTLX built car. If you compare this to the modern Walthers car with the high level of detail, there's really no comparison. Now, I'm not saying that these cars aren't inaccurate. What I'm simply implying is that the original Walthers cars, there's just no detail. You can see there's no underbody detailing. It's very basic. The railings are very stock. There's no grab irons on the ends. And this is definitely a milestone for Walthers. Their high level of detail on this car is a good sign of what's to come from them. I think they did an excellent job. And just comparing it from really how far they come, and even, like I said, comparing it to the original, what you used to only be able to get, this is definitely way better, and it's much more accurate, and I think they did an excellent job on this car. Getting into kind of some more background details of this particular car, Walthers did quite a few paint jobs on these, which was nice, and I applaud them for that, because a lot of companies own these. A lot of these are patched out, stenciled, repainted, so there's a lot of companies that own them. GATX has quite a few, obviously Trinity Industries, TGOX, PPTX, all kinds of manufacturers and companies that own these and lease these out and for Sulfur service. So the nice thing is Walthers has quite a few paint jobs on these, so odds are they'll have whatever car you're looking for, including the very, very popular solid yellow Trinity built cars, as you can see here. I have one right here. I can't wait to weather it, actually. So that's nice. They have quite a few paint jobs, so more than likely they'll have a road name that you're looking for, which is nice. And the only downside I can say is that Walthers only makes 2 numbers in each one of these paint schemes. Compared to, say, Athearn RTR, Athearn Genesis, which does 3 numbers per car number, or per car road name, Walthers only does 2, which is a little disappointing, being that if you're trying to model a unit train of these cars, you only have 2 numbers, so what you're going to end up having to do is get a few more of these cars and have to renumber them yourself. For me, I guess that's no real big deal. I've patched a lot of cars before, but for the casual modeler who really doesn't want to have to get too fancy and wants a car that's like right out of the box and wants a lot of numbers, it's kind of disappointing there, being that there's only 2 numbers. So other than that, I mean, I'm not
criticizing Walthers for that, but let's hope maybe if they do future runs of these cars, they do more numbers. Maybe if they do existing paint schemes, they put a few more numbers instead of reproducing numbers that are already out there, because I definitely would like to get like a string of at least a solid block of the TGOX cars, because these are the ones that I see most often, including the GHX and Trinity lease cars. You usually see solid strings of these, not so much the cars that are mixed in where you have multiple different road names. So that's just a little thing that I have to say there, so it's kind of disappointing there. My final verdict on this car, though, is that it seems to be very, very nice. Like I said, Walthers did a good job, highly detailed. A little disappointed with the couplers, though, like I said, but, you know, that's changeable. No big deal there. The road name, kind of the issue with only 2 numbers on the road name, it's a little disappointing, being that a lot of these people that are going to buy these are going to be wanting several of these cars to make a unit train or something like that. So that's also a little disappointing. But overall, I think the car looks nice, and overall, I think, you know, it's a good car, and Walthers did a good job on it. So overall, like I said, good car. Great job, Walthers. We need to see more people make tank cars like these, because there's such a huge gap in the tank car market in HO scale. There's just not enough of these modern cars that are being built. We need a lot of cars like this, and Walthers really did a nice job getting their feet wet, so to speak, going out and producing this car from scratch, basically. They did an excellent job, and I applaud them for that. So hopefully we'll see some more tank cars come out from them in the future, because if they're anything like this, I will definitely go and buy them. Price-wise, these cars are semi-reasonable. A lot of the, like, you'll see a lot of the, mainly the more vibrant colored cars like this, or the banded cars that have the yellow bands, those usually average for about $44, and the newer run is average about $44, $45 a piece. These cars here usually average for about $30, $25. Absolute lowest I've seen these go for is $25. And on eBay, actually, you can usually get these for about $20 a piece, which is pretty nice. So if you wanted to build a string of these, you could do that pretty quickly, and relatively affordably too. So like I said, price-wise, the cars aren't bad. A little high end, considering, you know, if you were to go out and buy these factory new, they are a little pricey, so it's kind of one of those things. Also a little disappointing there, but that's about the price I pay for a Genesis model, so I mean, I can't really complain there. So it's relatively reasonable price-wise. So overall, that's the car right there, guys. I think it looks really nice, and with a little weathering, I think these would look 10 times better for sure. Alrighty guys, so that's about it. That'll pretty much wrap us up on the Walthers tank car review. And like I said, they did a great job on these. Go out and get some for sure. Unit train, or even just to mix them in a modern manifest, definitely get some. They're an important car to model in a modern manifest like that. So it'll definitely be interesting to see in the coming years if Walthers does some more tank cars, and I cross your fingers, hope they do. And if they're anything like this, I'll definitely go out and buy some more. So, like I said, that will pretty much wrap up this product review, guys, and I hope you stay tuned for some more videos. I'll have some more product reviews coming later on, and some how-to videos, hopefully this time coming soon. So until next time, guys, take care.